So in this video, we're going to look at the following problem. So we're going to be a budget manager of a large company, and we're evaluating our budget overruns in the company. We're trying to determine which department has the most people going over budget. So we're going to examine a simple random sample of each department, and we find in Department A, we find that 22 out of 90 people went over budget. And in Department B, we have 25 out of 110 people went over budget. So we want to construct a 95% confidence interval to estimate the true difference between the two proportions to find which of the two departments has the most people going over budget. So here we have two different situations and two different proportions we're looking at. So the first step is to go ahead and identify our P1 and our P2. So I'm going to have the P1 be the percent of people in Department 1, or in Department A. And then P2 is the percent of people in Department B. And of course, these are the percent of people going over budget. So we're going to write so we're looking for the confidence interval here, which is this one right here. So at this point, we can now go to the calculator. And so we're going to go ahead and go to Stat. Scoot it up so we can see it. So go hit Stat, and go over to Test, and we're going to go all the way down to 1 or 2 proportion Z int. So the int stands for confidence interval, and we have 2 proportions. And so we're going to go ahead in X1. Now X1 corresponds to our P1, which is the people in Department A. So we had 22 people in Department A go over budget, and we checked 90 people. And in X2, that's the percent of people going over budget in Department B. And so we had 25 out of 110, and we're doing the 95% confidence interval, so we leave this as 0.95. And we go to calculate, and this is what we get. So we have our confidence interval is negative 0.101 and 0.1356 is our confidence interval. Now let's take a minute and go look at what these numbers and what they mean. So we're looking at the difference of the two proportions. So we're looking for P1 minus P2. And we know the value of P1 and P2 are going to be inside this range here. When we subtract the two, it's going to be inside this range. Now if we get a negative number, so we do have a negative number right here, that means that our P2 value here is greater. So write that down. So the negative 0.101 means that our P2, which again is the percent of people in Department B that went over budget, is larger than P1. And the positive value, which is this value here, so the 0.1356, that means that P1 is larger than P2. So that means that the true proportion between them, so either we could have either people in Department B that looks like 13.5% of the people went over budget, or more went over budget, or we could have P1 where we have 10.1% of the people go over budget. So there is not convincing evidence here that we can say any one department is going over budget. There's some that Department B might be going over budget more, because again their numbers, they're at 13%, whereas Department A is only at 10%. But again, we still have quite a range of values. So we don't have any evidence that one of these two departments has the most percentage of people going over budget.